So you're taking a driving test and the examiner gives you an instruction. You ignore it and do something else. You'd expect to fail the test, right? And yet, this is what happens in academic exams all the time. And it's why many students end up getting results that they're disappointed in or that just don't reflect their effort or true ability. And the difference is that for most students, it isn't that they are ignoring the instructions, they just weren't totally clear on what the examiner was really asking of them. Although, of course, there are some times where ignoring the instructions does actually happen, when we realize that we don't really know the answer to what's actually being asked, so decide to kind of invent an answer to a different question that we wish was being asked instead. But both scenarios still lead to the same result, although perhaps the second one means that it was a little less unexpected. So, getting back on track, this is why it's so important for students to not only make sure they read all instructions that are provided on exam papers really carefully, things even like the front cover information, such as the number of questions they have to answer, from which sections, the amount of time available, and what they should spend on different parts, and so on. Because every year there are students who don't answer the right selection of questions, or they do too many or not enough. But more so, it's essential that students understand how to dissect and break down each and every exam question individually so they can work out the exact instruction that they're being given. Now, the problem is that unlike reading the front page of that exam information, most students don't know how to dissect or precisely what to look for in exam questions or exactly how to respond. And that's why the 6 elements of exam technique are so important. So they aren't performing a parallel part when the examiner has asked them to do an emergency stop. Or, of course, it's actually usually a bit more subtle than that. Something like the examiners asked them to turn left, but they've simply moved into the left-hand lane and perhaps failed to indicate along the way as well. Now, they've heard left, which might be the topic or a keyword in the question, but they've missed the command word in the question. And in an exam, that is what determines the level of what we call cognitive skill that their response needs to be at, and it's what the mark scheme is centered around. So, if you'd like to get all the behind the scenes information on command words, what mark schemes demand, and get advice on how your team should be preparing for exams, then definitely come and join me at my exam special webinar that I'm running this week, where I'll be teaching and sharing all this information and more. I'll link to the direct link for registration, which is totally free, by the way, in the blog notes, or if you're in my VIP email list, it'll be in the email, so that you can just click easily to register. I'm Katie Bryce, a great transformation expert. I really hope to see you at one of the webinar sessions, and until next week, let's make this a fantastic week.